Previously in X-Men, penciler, co-creator Dave Cockrum is back on the title of Uncanny X-Men after issue 108 to issue 143 of John Byrne. Cockrum is now back. He's the co-creator of Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Thunderbird. Maybe that's about it of that group of new X-Men.
A lot of people.
The team has been through a lot. Cyclops is gone. Storm is in charge. We're in a bit of a state of flux. The series is going to take a little bit of a turn. We'll see how things go. And that brings us up to issue 145 of the Uncanny X-Men in episode 54 of our show. And that makes me Jason Lapidus.
And I am occasionally Chris Sanagan.
And we are a group of 7 comics. 2 guys who love to make comics and talk about comics, especially on a Tuesday night.
2 guys on a mission to read all the X-Men comics on YouTube.
That's a pretty noble mission. One of the great things about that mission, though, is we're learning our comics history. We're learning about writing and creating team superhero comics through arguably the greatest team comic of all time. The run that writer Chris Claremont has in this series that goes for like 16 years. It's monumental, right? I mean, this guy has his hands on the steering wheel of a Marvel franchise that he did not really create, but was sort of like the last untouched franchise. You get your Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Stan Lee, Steve Ditko stuff, and they kind of make the foundational texts for the brand of Marvel. X-Men kind of falls through the cracks, and it gets solidified a generation later by a different group of creators on a rebrand. And that leads Marvel to call these issues the Essential X-Men and also the Classic X-Men, which is why I'm reading it in Essential X-Men Volume 3. We're finally on Volume 3 of the Essential X-Men. Unbelievable. What about you, Chris?
How am I reading this comic?
If you want to answer that, or just how about you in general? What's your take? Where are you at? What do you think?
My take is now that we are done the Claremont Byrne run, which was our initial impetus, I should say, for doing this, for going on YouTube and talking about that run of comics, to get to that run and go through those classic story arcs. I found this issue particularly, and I think it's because it's the return of Dave Cockrum on art. I found it like jarring, just as a reading experience, because it's Brent Anderson was the last issue, which is the first post Byrne issue,
right? And
Cockrum, we haven't seen his art since the earlier shows that we did. Those from Giant Size.
His last issue is issue 107.
So 40 issues we hadn't seen his art, and I had forgotten. I'd become so accustomed to the Byrne design of those characters that when I saw the Cockrum designs again, I went, "Wow!" It was jarring. I had forgotten, and that's not to take anything away from Cockrum's art. I think it solidifies the notion that that first run was the essential to some degree, as Marvel has pegged it. And we talk about the Claremont Byrne run as a thing. Not saying that Cockrum doesn't have his artistic merits or has not contributed to the title, and certainly, as you mentioned in your preamble about the creation of those characters. But it really stood out at me, like seeing the Cockrum version of Wolverine, and then in my head, the Byrne version of Wolverine, and for someone who's only read these comics like once, it's the first time for me going through them. It really, like, the designs of those characters under Byrne, and then it just to flip to the Cockrum stuff again, having seen some of those designs earlier because of his run on it. Wow, it was like night and day.
Yeah, I find that seeing this now, like you're saying, going back to Cockrum, it reminds me again just like what a dynamic there is between writer and penciler, and how a penciler really has a huge impact, especially in Marvel, on the way a series goes, because they write in what's called Marvel Method, or it's nicknamed Marvel Method. So in this book, which is
Right.
a Dave Cockrum biography and art book, which was generously gifted to me by our friend Julian at the last time we saw him at Gotham Central.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotham.
Really great resource. This book is fantastic for that. Cockrum talks about the writing and the creative dynamic, or I should say the storytelling dynamic, because it really is storytelling through, words, storytelling through sequential images. And he said the first time they did it, it was the two of them would sit down and they would hash out plots together. Cockrum would then go home and make notes about the conversation he remembered, and then base the layouts on that.
Okay.
Then they would send those layouts and in to get inked and everything, and then Claremont writes the script after seeing the layouts. There's nothing wrong with that, except for, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, just
the moment where I said, based on what he remembers the conversation to be.
Yeah.
So there's like the writer then, or the scripter and writer and scripter has to really let go of anything that they thought that didn't get translated in.
Totally.
The second time,
Yeah.
they did the same process. The second run now, 35, 40 issues later, which is basically 4 years later.
Yeah.
They would hash out plots together again, but Claremont would take notes and send the plot outline notes to Cockrum, and Cockrum would go and do the pages.
I learned from the last time we did this, Dave.
Right.
When I said Cyclops dies, he dies.
And keep in mind, like, Claremont has now been through another artist and another strong personality who's going to change Claremont's approach to collaboration. So he's tightened things up a little bit in his process, which is kind of neat. And the story, which is detailed here through several interviews with Cockrum as to how he got back in. Cockrum was given the opportunity to draw the X-Men in Marvel Fanfare issue 3. So Marvel Fanfare was basically an anthology series run by one editor, Al Milgram, and it was a chance for him to basically publish any of those, like, not throwaway issues, pardon me, any of those, what are we calling those issues that are like fill-ins?
Or
yeah, like those
fill-in is probably, I mean, that's probably a generous way of saying it, I think.
So those fill-in issues that are laying, or they're surplus, that are laying around, that now, like, they've passed due. So their due date's over. So, like, they're no longer going to be, they're not needed anymore. They have, like, another one coming. So it was a chance to just sort of do those kinds of stories that have been hanging around and get them out there and give artists, up and comers, a chance to get their work published that wasn't necessarily going to otherwise get out there. But they have the issues around. So
the
stories
are done job somehow, right? So
they put like 2 stories together in an issue, so there'd be like a main and a backup, and get it out there in this series. And some of them are really great. So Cockrum does issue 3 of Marvel Fanfare that includes the X-Men, and he realizes he kind of loves drawing them. So he says, you know what? He just mentions to Claremont, hey, if there's ever a chance of me coming back on X-Men, just let me know. That's like on a Saturday. On Monday, John Byrne quits.
He knew something. Cockrum knew something.
Right. So it's just the way it went. David says, I'm surprised to hear Claremont's tightened control, because there's an awkward moment in 146 that read to me like Claremont seeing the first few finished pages, then demanding a change going forward. Well, let's see as we get there. I'm looking forward to that one. Maybe it was just written that way. David, glad you're here, man. I hope you're well, and hope you're having a good week so far. I have not read that far ahead, so I've only read up to 145, which is today's show. So we'll talk about it next week for sure. It's just that he tweaked, right? Like, who was taking the notes down to, I mean, it's only tightening up so much. It's still room for interpretation, right? He's still only giving summaries to Cockrum, and it's just a question of who wrote the summary.
Right.
And there's still lots of room to wiggle as a storyteller who's doing the visual side, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Lots of good stories in here about creating certain characters, their look. And Cockrum hates Kitty Pryde. He comes in the series, thinks she's going to be the most obnoxious character of all time.
Right.
So that might be one indicator as to what happens in this issue.
I was going to say.
He's not interested in her whatsoever. And I think it's just kind of interesting. So there are little tidbits that come out that we'll get a chance to talk about over the course of the next many weeks.
And he was the same with Wolverine too, right?
Oh yeah, from the top, didn't like the character.
Didn't like Wolverine. So right now we know he hates young girls and Canadians.
And Canadians. I would be like, he hates Jews and Canadians. Like, no, I'm just joking because I'm both.
Right, you went a whole little further than I did.
Well, that's the fun of it. We're just kidding. One other note I was just telling you before we came on. I've got 2 copies of this one, and one is the direct market. So this one would have been in the comic book store right here. And this one would have been on the newsstand. That's the the barcode versus the Spidey face, and they're also different up in the corner box and how the elements are put together. The diamond versus the box.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Hi, Jason.
Wow.
Hashtag cancel Cockrum. Just kidding. Of course. No, I'm totally about that. To me, my ex-friends. Glad you're here, Jason. That's fun. I really loved pulling this issue out of my long box because I had never read it, and it had the great smell and just everything. So really nice cover too, I think. So dramatic. I'm a big fan of this one. So on inks also is Joe Rubenstein, who it seems to be a long collaborator with Chris Claremont stuff. Like he goes on to ink the Wolverine Limited series. One other just note about inking and the role they play. So I'm a huge fan of Klaus Janson. Klaus Janson, inked and eventually moved all the way on to pencils and inks on the famous Frank Miller Daredevil run. He inks the legendary I don't want to call it an Elseworld, the legendary Dark Knight Returns from DC. Really, just amazing work. He does great work over John Romita Jr. Amazing inker. Cockrum doesn't like working with him. Their styles clash.
Someone else he doesn't like.
Well, no. No, there's just an aesthetic difference. I mean, some people bring out not everyone's pencils will look good with Bill Sienkiewicz inking over top, or Klaus Janson, or Al Williamson. They're just different guys that are different people's line art is represented better or worse by people's ink. So he got a chance to work with Janson, didn't like the mix, but Rubenstein is more of a classic, house inker, on brand inker, and Cockrum is a charming, old fashioned kind of artist with his pencil. So they're a good match. And I've always disliked the Rubenstein inks over Miller's Wolverine Limited series. To me, that was that's the drawback of the whole thing. So I like that there are these different matchups of people and different dynamics.
Yeah,
I find the whole thing really interesting. But anyway, David Cutler says, beautiful cover. I'm hard on Cockrum sometimes, but I think his cover compositions are generally better than Burns. David, have you seen this book? Yes, no. I'm interested to find out because it'll take me a moment to get there. In it, there are a bunch of the Cockrum cover designs that they use in the series, and there was one that was a Byrne cover that is a Cockrum layout. I thought that was really interesting to see. I'll just flash this on the screen here. No, never, he says. No, never.
Never? No, never. What, never?
Let's do a solo layout. So here we get a good run of Cockrum covers, just the layouts. And they're all really, some are better than others. But the middle on the left, we see the one with Sauron, with Wolverine taking a slash there.
Yeah.
Byrne drew that cover, the finished version. So it's so cool to see Cockrum do that layout when it's Byrne's finish over top in the end. Neat. So this book is valuable for a few reasons. One is like the interview stuff is really comprehensive. There's a lot of love for Cockrum in the book, and a lot of credit, given to him where maybe we don't remember. Like Mystique, that is his character design whole cloth,
right?
And the description of what he imagined for her is really funny. He didn't know who the character was going to be. He just draws this. He basically has sketchbooks full of these character designs. And Claremont or other writers will come in and see and be like, oh, I got to have that character in my book. So the one for her, and there's going to be some language here that is misogynistic and dated. And my use of these terms does not condone them, but I'm just reporting what's in the book, okay? And I might giggle because some of the words are funny. The word is jugs. Anyway. In 1981, Cockrum explained to Michael Wolff, I just decided, hey, let's do a villainous-looking blue lady with really big jugs. That's the creation of Mystique. Villainous-looking blue lady with really big jugs. And that's the whole thing. And Claremont sees it and says, I want to have
Cancel Cockrum. He's back.
Nice.
And shout out to Cutler for getting my Simpsons HMS Pinafore reference. Thank you, David.
And he continues, I don't deliberately set out to design ladies with big jugs, but so I
don't deliberately do it. I just like it.
She was going to be Miss Marvel's Doctor Doom. That's the entire genesis of the villainess. And so that's just where it comes from. And then obviously
that's interesting. Like the character to be a foil for Miss Marvel as a Doctor Doom. That's interesting. But the other parts, I just thought we could do this,
Blue lady with big jugs.
Oh my goodness.
So the book is very interesting.
And when you think of like the character Mystique and how that character has evolved, and even on like animated, the movies, like all of it, like the mysterious and calculating and like a force to be reckoned with in her own way, and you stratagem and all these things just not go with that particular initial Cliff's notes of what you.
That's why I'm always a little reticent to start attributing credit to character creation. Because character and character design are not the same thing. So who's the first person to draw the character? Well, Cockrum is. Who's the one who names her Mystique? Not Cockrum. Who's the one who makes her a shapeshifter and makes her a devious spy and assassin and manipulator? Like, that's not Cockrum. So, he plays a role. And if anyone else had have drawn based on, let's say, Claremont's description of what the character would be, it would come out looking completely different.
Yeah.
It might not even be blue or juggy. I mean, who knows? Anyway. Hey, Trevor, how you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you're well. It's fascinating stuff. And there is a running trend through the biography of Cockrum that he's kind of gets the raw end of the deal a lot. Like he misses opportunities just a little here and just a little there.
A little degree off here.
Yeah. Like he's not really getting his due sometimes. And so there are a lot of people who advocate very strongly for him as being a really seminal creator because he's just so close to for instance, the royalty program at Marvel starts just as he's leaving X-Men.
Right.
So he doesn't know. They start to get their royalty checks about 9 months after the issue hits newsstands. So when he decides to leave, like 9 months go by, and he starts to get these big checks for how good X-Men was. And he just decided to go into like a creator-owned product or project at Marvel, which never got off the ground. Like it never went very far. Like one graphic novel and then tanked. And he left X-Men for that, not knowing that X-Men was going to be a payday.
Yeah.
So he's like, Shucks, like another one. I got slighted.
Old Dave Cockrum messes it up again. Old Dave Cockrum. I had one more payment on that hot plate.
Right. So that kind of story seems to be going throughout, where he's just almost there. Anyway, let me ask you an important question, sir.
Sure.
Do you have your DVD-ROM set up for us to share these scans of original pages with
I
the
didn't add it.
entire internet?
Hold on. Yeah, it's right here. I didn't add it.
That'd be great. Thank you.
See that right now. Here we are.
Awesome. So this issue is 1982. It comes out in like early months, like maybe February in 82, even though it's listed as 81. Sorry, 81. Pardon me. It's 81. February
81.
Even though it says May, it's early months. And I was just thinking when I'm reading this, like, what a big role Storm plays. And thinking, like, 1981, the top-selling book, and the leader is a black woman. You know? And just how thoroughly progressive that was at the time. And honestly, it still feels that way today, kind of reading it. It's, I don't know, just it feels special. Yeah, very cool. All right, let's dig into this bad boy. Kidnapped. And I have an affinity for the floating heads.
Yes, I agree.
I think these look great.
I always like this when I'd open up a comic and it would have the heads and the names of the characters always on the front page. I don't know. It spoke to me.
I think everyone looks good here, and we see a design tweak with Angel where he gets his cheekbones, on his mask. They're like included.
Oh yeah.
With these sharp edges, where Byrne draws them, it just kind of goes around the form of his face. These ones, Cockrum puts in these curves, which they look nice. I mean, it's cool. It's distinctive for him. But I think this is one of the better Cockrum Wolverine faces.
Yeah, I agree. Solid.
And nice to see him back on Nightcrawler, which is his favorite character. And I see Iceman, Polaris, Havoc, misspelled, by the way, for the first of many times.
There it is.
And who's there after Havoc?
Good old Banshee.
I can't believe he's back.
He's back,
and
people.
I'm going to be giving Louise Jones, also known as Wheezy Simonson, a hard time again. We've spotted more errors since she took over the series as editor than in all the issues combined beforehand.
Yeah.
And there are several in this, including misspelling Havoc the entire time.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Iceman head's a little weird. It looks almost like a thing-esque kind of, I don't know.
It looks
shape.
like Max Headroom.
There you go. It's a bit strange. But here we are. Here's Storm at the ballet with Stevie. Right.
And otherwise, we've already mentioned like the credits here. We get Joe Rosen on letters, as opposed to Orzechowski, I think, who did the last one.
Yes, he did.
And Glynis Wein continues on colors. Cool. We've met Stevie before. She is, of course, Kitty Pryde's dance teacher. And there was like an interesting dynamic where Storm was a little bit. Storm doesn't like her, and she doesn't necessarily have a reason why. And I think I'm kind of waiting to see how this plays out. Like, is she? At first I thought maybe she was Mystique, or maybe she wasn't her character, and she's going to present a heel turn at some point. But I'm not sure what the deal is. But it's still, I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Mm-hmm. Shall I move into it?
Should you want to do like the whole reading all of it, or where are you at?
I don't know. What do you think?
Okay.
I'm good. Either way, it's a lot more. I mean, the last couple issues were almost all Cyclops in his head, and previous to that, almost all Kitty Pryde. So this one at least has, dialogue between characters.
Sure. I love this opening page, but I just really like it. I think it looks really good. In the heart of the west side of Manhattan, in what was once one of the roughest slum neighborhoods in the entire city, stands Lincoln Center, a performing arts complex famed throughout the world. The world. Its centerpiece is the Metropolitan Opera House, which tonight plays host to Britain's Royal Ballet.
Thank you for inviting me, Aurora. I hope you'll enjoy this as much as I will.
Thank Kitty. This was her doing, Stevie, not mine. Among those attending this gala premiere are Stevie Hunter, a prima ballerina herself until the tragic accident that ended her career, and Aurora, who, as Storm, is leader of a team of mutant superheroes, the Uncanny X-Men. They don't know it yet, but this is an evening neither woman will ever forget. Who is that there?
Storm is here. Excellent. All I need to do now is spring the trap, and the X-Men are mine.
My goodness. What are you channeling there?
I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out.
Originally, this was Stevie's special Christmas present from Kitty Pryde, Aurora's fellow X-Man and the newest pupil in Stevie's dance school. But Kitty was struck down by a severe attack of flu. She asked Aurora to take her place. With reservations, Aurora accepted. The dancing is beautiful.
That beauty is a result of years of hard work and pain. It's a hard life, Aurora, a cruel one. And I'd give my soul to be a part of it again.
There is such sadness in Stevie's voice, such longing. I want to reach out to comfort her, yet something holds me back. God, what is wrong with me? Stevie is a lovely woman. Kitty likes her unreservedly. Why can't I? Lost in their own thoughts, and caught up in the performance unfolding on stage, neither Aurora nor Stevie hears the door to Professor Xavier's private box open.
Chuck.
The intruder's approach is as silent as death itself, and her touch is as deadly. What? Curtains dropping in front of the box, cutting us off from the rest of the audience.
I beg your pardon.
Who are you? This is a private box. What are you doing here?
I am Miss Locke. I serve Arcade.
Storm knows that name only too well. Her reaction is instinctive and immediate. She uses her elemental powers to generate an irresistible battering ram of air that hurls Miss Locke against the rear wall of the box, stunning her.
Aurora, you created a hurricane in here, but how? Who? What are you? Rough.
Storm's action does not go unnoticed by those in the neighboring boxes.
Edward.
Oh, go ahead.
There you go.
No, go.
Edward, it's gotten so cold. Where did this breeze come from?
Blasted air conditioning. Why couldn't they have turned it on last summer, when it could have done some good? We'll talk later, Stevie. I'll explain everything, I hope. That was a warning, Miss Locke.
A most impressive one, Storm, but also a wasted effort. Aurora, I feel so...
Stevie!
I am not in your power, X-Men. You are in mine.
Trying to figure out what you're going for, you know?
I'm not quite sure. We're just going to roll with it.
To me, she's a femme fatale. She's like...
Yeah, I know.
You know? Anyway, it's so funny. No!
When I touched you and your friend, Storm, I injected a contact poison into your bodies. Without the antidote, you'll both be dead in minutes.
Why? Was Arcade too frightened to kill me in person?
Hardly. The poison was merely to ensure that I had your undivided attention and to prevent you stopping my departure. Actually, I'm here because I need the X-Men's help. As a consequence of business dealings we had with a mutant known as the Toad, Arcade incurred the enmity of Victor Von Doom, deposed dictator of Latveria. Dr. Doom kidnapped Arcade. He has sworn that Arcade will pay for insulting him. Dr. Doom is a man of his word.
So this is referencing Marvel 2-in-1, issue number nothing.
Issue nothing.
It doesn't say. That's another one of those errors, and she takes credit for it too. Says Louise, like that's an error. Come on, you're
Come
the
on,
editor.
Wheezy.
Come on.
Come on, Wheezy.
Trevor
I
says,
wish-
I'm thinking a Hungarian accent.
Hungarian, like a Contessa,
Sure.
like a Contessa. But you know what? We're just gonna go with this wild thing.
No, you go with what you're doing.
Here we go. I wish the X-Men to rescue Arcade and to make certain that Von Doom never bothers him again. To give you an incentive, I've kidnapped those dearest to you. The parents of Jean Grey, Moira McTaggart, Candy Southern, Amanda Sefton, the other girls that people are dating, and Ileana Rasputin, Colossus' sister. They are in Murder World. Fail to free Arcade Storm, and they will die there.
I like this idea of a plot. Like, we've kidnapped some people.
Yeah.
You got to do what I need you to do, or they're all going to die. It's just, there's some stakes. I'm always in, like, let's just get right to what the story is. You don't have to take a full issue, to be the first act. Like, we've gotten everything we need to know pretty much right now. And now it's like, okay, let's go rescue these people and go free Arcade or whatever it's going to be. Again, more floating heads.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a recurring motif in this issue. Just saying. There we go.
Just saying.
Like an evil Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Like an Ija. I shake my yayas. What's the... No, that's somebody else.
Charo?
Charo. That's Charo.
You got my attention, by the way. Okay, anyway. A weird... I don't know if you can see in this scan before you.
It's super hard to read that.
Super hard to read. Can you see how there's the black ink that's been laid down, and then the yellow plate is underneath the black as well? Like it's not just over the letters, but you can see the yellow continues partway down into the black and then stops, and the black looks less formidable without the yellow plate on it. I don't know if you can see that.
Not really.
In front of me, it's really, really apparent. Actually, the yellow looks like it was put on over top of the black, but I'm not sure the order those things actually happen. But whenever they do that, whenever they cut the color in a larger area than it needs, and there's black as well, you can always still see the color underneath the black, and it's just an idiosyncrasy of old comics. Anyway, so it says. And it's weird lettering because it gets smaller at the end.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Storm struggles to rise, but a blinding surge of pain smashes her down, bringing a strangled cry from her lips. An icy numbness washes through her like a tidal wave. And with her last thought, she wonders if this is death.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Weird, very weird printing.
Totally.
And here we get the awesome unstable molecule action.
Yeah. Something else.
I like this. Like coming back to a consciousness thing. It's like warped.
Yeah, it's cool.
Old school. That slowly refines itself into the skirl of violins. The orchestra's still playing. I'm not dead. I almost wish I was. I feel awful. Stevie's gone. Like this drawing, she does not look like she feels awful in the fourth panel. She looks like she's just fine. Filling a door frame.
Yeah.
Miss Locke must have taken her as another hostage. In the curtain box, Storm changes into costume.
That's a weird... So this is one of the things I think we talked when I was saying in the beginning, where we're so used to Burns pencils. And that this is an example. I know it's not a full picture, but I was just like, it's just jarring. Like, this is so not what we're used to.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't excel in like third of a page full body scale. So like divide the page in 3, and now that with that much height, draw a full figure. I find that his figures at that scale are not their best. When he goes bigger, I think his stuff is really good. I think about that Magneto way, way, way back that filled a whole page.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And it was like an amazing drawing.
Yeah.
And when he does faces up close, I find they're really good too. but just these sort of small ones. You know, her right arm is like a little long, maybe, and just her shapes are odd sometimes, or the poses are awkward. So I think every artist seems to have their sweet spots,
Right.
and this doesn't seem to be his.
No, it's like Byrne and Children.
His muscled
It's
children.
muscled wee people.
I can't remember. Have you seen him draw kids yet?
Cockrum or Byrne?
Byrne.
Yeah, there's a few Aurora flashbacks of her
Right.
in Egypt, and she just
Wait till maybe check out some of his Franklin Richards stuff from his run on FF.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
it's pretty awkward. So Storm is going through the thinking about, okay, she says she's abducted these people. Let's check on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to mention like the little face of Ileana in her babushka. You know
Yeah,
I mean?
right, exactly.
Back a page, like this is a character that's going to be one of the most formidable X-Men down the road. And we just get this picture of her. You know, she's always drawn in this way, like she's this girl living on this communist farm, right, on the commune. Yeah, always with her head covered, and just looks like even in her mind's eye, Storm imagines her as a scared little kid.
Yeah.
So she goes to check on first Amanda, Nightcrawler's girlfriend, who shares apartment with the two other stewardesses. And Amanda's mother is a sorceress.
Right.
A powerful one.
Yeah.
And we see here there's a reference to a scene in X-Men Annual 4, and it made me realize we've missed Giant Size X-Men 2.
Okay.
X-Men Annual 3 and X-Men Annual 4.
Wow. Well, I mean,
and I don't know if they're on the discs that you have.
The annuals are on there.
But like maybe we should read those.
Sure, we can do that. Do you have paper copies of them?
I don't know which ones I do have. Let me just take a look at this. In the essentials that I'm holding now, which is number 3, there are a bunch of annuals in it. Annuals 3 to 5. So I don't have Giant Size 2, I believe. But I have annuals 3 to 5.
Yeah, we should read those.
I feel like I just missed out on some stories, maybe by some.
Well, sure. I mean, Nightcrawler's dating someone whose mom is a sorceress.
Yeah, like come on.
Who is that?
So Storm picks the lock, no problem.
That's right.
And sees. I love the little Nightcrawler doll.
I know that's actually really cute.
It. I love it.
I kind of want that little Nightcrawler plushie.
I feel like that's also something we've seen before.
Okay.
Or we will see again. I feel like I've seen a Nightcrawler plushie dozens of times, or I don't know, a dozen times. Maybe you guys in the chat can remind us if we've seen it already or if we will see it in the future or whatever. But I feel like I've seen that before. I don't remember where. Anyway, but there's the arcade card saying yes, we've been here.
There's the arcade card, yeah. I also yeah. Go ahead.
No, please.
I got to say, I think I was probably going to talk with the same paths. I do love how they make reference to her using her powers to get there quickly. This could, whip up in a considerable chaos over the city. And she's like, but I have to. And then oh, well, we're going down. Basically where'd that jet stream come from, Dave? I don't know. I thought you were piloting, Bill. And then they, I like seeing the consequence of superpowers, right? That aren't impacting the story. Totally.
Trevor says, yeah, it definitely shows up later. Shows up in places. I can't remember where and when, but I do love that plushie. And it must have gotten made. I'm sure someone's made it at some point.
I must have, yeah.
He makes a really cute plushie, doesn't he?
He's adorable.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Yeah. So she heads up the Hudson up to Jean Grey's parents' place. Mm-hmm. I like that her parents are still part of the narrative in some way.
Well, to be honest, like as soon as she's like, hey, I've captured the people you love most, Jean Grey's parents, she should have been like, hold you there. Jean Grey's dead. We don't talk to him anymore.
Right. But she still feels this sisterhood with.
Yeah.
I also like how this is a lot, like we're getting a lot of Storm in this issue. Like she is the centerpiece.
Yes.
Of this issue and maybe of this whole arc. I don't know yet, but it's neat. Right, it's not like a Wolverine thing. It's not Cyclops anymore. We're getting some time with Aurora.
She's doing some
It's really
sleuthing.
cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
You know,
And I like
we get the Jean Grey snow globe.
the snow globe is changing expressions. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So what's that all about?
Well, she says that this is the holempathic.
Yeah.
So it is hologram and empathic. It's a matrix crystal given to the Greys by Empress Lilandra after Jean Grey's death.
Yes, I remember that part.
It not only contains a three-dimensional image of Jean Grey, Phoenix, but also the essence of her personality. So it that goes through her emotions as a person in that space is feeling other emotions too. Her essence is in there in holographic form. So
that's a determined look on the face. Like,
or
you got to find these people.
Or mad that parents are
mad that she's left as a disemboweled head in a.
Yes.
This is what's come in my life. Thanks, Aurora.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
It'd be funny if Aurora put her in the dishwasher or something.
or in like a fishbowl, like
right.
as one of the fishbowl accoutrements,
Yeah. David says a three-dimensional image.
That's what I mean.
That looks pissed sometimes. How nice.
Jeez.
It's the creepiest gift.
I think we all agree on that one.
On the page turn, we get an awesome ad of one of my favorite cover artists of all time, Mike Zack.
The bubble yum girl?
The bubble yum. Even yummier. Yeah, Zack on
Zack.
The Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. He just gets better and better. But how's that corner box?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty sweet.
Yep. I pick up any of those ones when I see them all beaten up. If I ever come across a Shang-Chi with a Mike Zack cover or interiors, I score those. And I only have a few, but they're really cool. Sorry for killing your daughter. Here's her face in a snow globe. That's right. Exactly.
Thanks for that.
Speaking of faces, do you remember back when Cockrum did not know how to draw Beast?
It still doesn't know how to draw Beast?
No, this one looks good. The one when he's on the monitor?
Yeah,
first one, I think it looks good.
Yeah.
That's a handsome looking dude.
I also like how Colossus is wearing the X-Men sweater.
Yes. I'm always a big fan of them having their varsity gear.
Yeah.
I think it's cute. And it looks like, they get woken up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, shirtless Logan.
He's got something on. He's wearing
underneath. He's got nothing on.
Right.
He's open. Come on.
Anyway. So this plays out that they contact Beast to get some information about Arcade and about Dr. Doom. And they all seem to know a little bit about Doom. Like even Nightcrawler in his days in the circus has heard of Doom's presence. He's sort of feared throughout Central Europe, and his girlfriend Amanda's mother respects his power.
Margali. Does that mean anything to anyone on this call? Margali.
I like the way you say that, like it's the worst name ever.
Jeez, would you believe there's a sorceress named Margali?
The bubblegum ad girl looks like she has a foot fetish. I have to go back.
Should we go back and see?
Why does she have a foot fetish? I don't get just because that kind of face is a foot fetish kind of face.
David's got to tell us more about a foot fetish.
Yeah, what's going on there, David?
Yeah.
So Beast offers to get the Avengers involved, and Xavier shuts that down. Did you want to read in this because there's so many characters?
Let's do this. Let's do from the Beast to the before Havoc and Polaris.
Okay, sure.
Right.
Your Beast.
About Arcade, Professor, we know little, but Dr. Doom is something else again.
Is he that formidable a foe?
In Magneto's class, at least, I heard of him while growing up in the circus. His name is known and feared throughout Central Europe. Even Amanda's mother, Margali, respects his power. If the X-Men plan to tackle Dr. Doom, you'll need all the help you can get. I can alert my fellow Avengers.
Thank you, Beast. Perhaps. For the present, I prefer to keep this matter within the family.
As you requested, I'll transmit the Avengers files on Doom to you. I hope they'll do you some good. Beast out.
Excellent, Hank. We'll be in touch. Charlie, when you talk like we plan on... Charlie, you talk like we plan on doing what that Lock Broad wants. Are we giving in? Have you an alternative, Wolverine? Trash her permanently. And Murder World. Get our people back and let Arcade rot. Charlie, we can't yield to blackmail. If Miss Locke gets away with this, we'll never see an end to it. We can't protect all those we care for. We'll always be vulnerable that way. Our only chance is to stop it before it starts. We fight back. We make certain no one ever tries to get at the X-Men this way again by making the price of doing it too high to pay. Wolverine is right, Professor, at least in part. We cannot submit, yet we cannot abandon Miss Locke's hostages, and I will not sacrifice them. You speak as though you have a plan, Storm. I have.
So this is quite a good exchange because absolutely, I mean, I agree with Wolverine to a degree. Saying it's like, let's just go trash Murder World and get our people back. Like, who cares about Arcade, right?
Right.
It's wonderful. She's looking right at Sean. Jeez. All right.
And then I like this.
It's Furt.
Licking her lips. There we go.
One more time.
Yeah,
there it is.
Chuck G's Furt. So the story now takes us to Rio Diablo. Oh,
yeah,
what were you?
This is also, I don't know if this is like a mistake or just a misuse of language, but so yeah, it's now in the American Southwest, right? Like it's just like New Mexico or something, and they're in Westchester, a continent removed from the X-Men. Well, it's not really a continent. They're on a, I just found that such a strange.
Well, they're on the other side of the same continent.
Exactly.
I mean,
it might be a continent.
It's a little hyperbolic.
Yes, it is. But here they are. Here's Lorna and Alec,
who have decided to live a life where they acknowledge that they are not superheroes. They are superpowered, and they are graduates of the school, but they have chosen not to live as superheroes because they don't see themselves that way. Of course, we get a demonstration of their powers, or at least
I love how they're like, let's see if we can do this with our powers. Like, that's the first thing you should do, idiots. What if you can blast rock and everyone can rebuild a friggin' metal tower?
Yeah.
Dum-dums. All right.
So here we get the third time of a floating head.
Yep.
But I do wish, though, that the colorist had made a different choice to do them as color holds, where it's not magenta because she's got the magenta, like the purple outfit on, but maybe you do it as blue, as the full cyan or something like that. But it shouldn't. I don't want to see a disembodied head. I want to see like a projection of his head in a way that does not have holding lines like this. Like I said, color hold would be cool, or something, an alternative to this. As this looks like it is a floating head, like someone chopped her head off and it's just floating there. So
very Twilight Zone-y. Yeah,
I would have made a more interesting color choice. Maybe you do like the color of something to do with the X Mansion, like whatever the room they were in last. Whatever that room is, like you use that color to show.
Or it's just his head floating in a wheelchair. There's no body.
Okay. So he asked for help. They're like, we're not superheroes. He's like, I wouldn't have called unless it was an emergency.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, we'll be there. And then what I love is Polaris gives him a hard time for like, hey, thanks for agreeing without asking me. Thanks for making the decision for me, big fella.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. And then the last thing that they say. So it says, for the Professor Summerson so abruptly. We'll know soon enough. In the meantime, since he left us some time to kill, ...
Let's go look at pictures of Mystique, that character who's all blue.
I got some pictures of Mystique in a magazine. Yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah, that's a funny one to throw in there that they're doing it.
Yeah. So out of nowhere.
Now, considering that the X-Men face death on a monthly basis,
yes,
it's an emergency every issue.
Yes.
So he's going to call them in every issue by that way.
Every issue. Only when it's an emergency, which happens to also be every 3.5 weeks.
Right. I like this a lot. Bobby Drake, he's just drawn very different than the other X-Men. Yeah. This is a unique design. You know, he looks young and more slight.
And stubbly.
Yep, and he's doing another all-nighter, so he's having another beer. I love it. I've been writing for 20 straight hours. Yep, here we go. More beer.
Cracking these brewskis.
And then in the background in his room, there are some fun things. Okay. And something really, really loaded.
Oh, I see that right now. Yeah. The Shah of Iran.
Yeah.
The
Ayatollah, right? So this is a very politically loaded moment in X-Men comics. He's throwing darts. Yeah. I mean, this speaks more, I would say, about the character of Bobby than it does about Claremont or Cockrum, maybe. That's attributed to Bobby alone. Let's not cancel Cockrum for drawing darts on the Ayatollah. But this would never happen today.
No.
But in the background in his room, we see that he has, you know, other than like, you know, a Babe poster or whatever, he's got something like a Star Wars comic book.
Oh,
and a Kiss comic.
Yeah, Kiss comic.
And then on his wall, it says there is a poster for
Bruce
Lee? Something Yamato. Space crap Yamato, space something Yamato. And there's that boat from Star Blazers, which is called the Yamato.
Right.
So that was a little nod to that early anime to America. I freaking loved Star Blazers as a kid. It was so much fun. Anyway, so what's the deal here? We're just gonna he is contacted by Professor X, another floating head. And he's like, "Get to the mansion. I need you."
He's like, "All right."
But now we got to read. Okay, you ready?
Okay, go for it.
Further east, 11 miles above the North Atlantic, the first British Airways Concorde flight of the day. But for those who don't know what a Concorde is, it was a really fast airplane. And it was a really big deal at the time. But it's not a big deal anymore because they're gone. All right. Arrows towards New York's Kennedy International Airport at twice the speed of sound. Aboard, Sean Cassidy, once known as the X-Men Banshee, until injuries forced his retirement. Issue 129. Impatiently wishes the flight were over. He's been on the road all night, but his grim, haggard demeanor has little to do with fatigue. Banshee.
Charles, we've got trouble, old friend. Moira's been kidnapped.
I know, Sean. She was not the only one. I'd intended asking your aid. It seems you've anticipated me. The Rolls-Royce will pick you up at JFK.
Fine, Charles. I see you soon. It's been ages since I've seen Charles create a telepathic astral projection. He looks rocky. The effort must have cost him dear. I pray he's all right.
Welcome back, Banshee.
Also, Ghost Xavier. Oh, the plane is haunted!
Can you imagine if there was actually someone sitting there too?
What's I mean? You guys like, wait, what? or it's like what you don't see is the guy had gotten up to go to the bathroom, comes back, it's like, what the?
Or if in the style of like Ghostbusters, there's ectoplasm on his chair.
Ectoplasm, yeah, exactly. Charles, why are you undoing my belt?
And then we see, of course, that Xavier is pretty tired from this experience. He doesn't look like he's using Cerebro.
He Mark Hamilled it up in The Last Jedi.
Right. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So he's obviously had to, you know, work quite hard to try and find everybody, and he can't find Scott. He lacks the strength to reach him. I'm just going to read Xavier's
Yeah.
thoughts here, okay? There's been a subtle shift in the Earth's magnetic field, creating interference, psychic static, that inhibits my telepathic communication over long distances, forcing me to make a supreme effort to transmit the simplest of messages. This can only be the work of one man, the X-Men's arch foe, Magneto. But why has he done this? And why now? Another great example of Claremont sowing, planting some seeds.
Mm-hmm.
We know that there's going to be a Magneto appearance coming eventually, and so this is just the foreshadowing, which he does oh so well. And now I don't understand this.
Oh my goodness. This is wow.
So we've been reading every issue. We have not missed any, although the annuals, but I don't think this is from one of the annuals.
Right.
Last issue, issue 144, Cyclops ends that issue walking away with Lee.
He flies away. And it says he eventually drops her off at a local hospital, I think. But there's nothing of this. Nothing suggests that they're playing pirate somewhere.
So, should we do, the answer? Is it here in the description, or
it mentions? Well, not really in this. It's I think on the next page.
Right. So this is really, really weird.
Yes.
We're not supposed to think Cyclops is lost on a Caribbean island.
Right.
This doesn't make any sense with what we know, which is fine. There's no reason you can't start with something mysterious. But it almost reads as if we would have known he was here, or we've read the pages in between where we see him turn into a castaway.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird. Anguished questions, unanswerable questions. Add to Xavier's already considerable burden. Too much seems to be happening too quickly. Is it coincidence Xavier's wonders, or part of some greater design? And when the crunch comes, will his X-Men prove to equal it? What the this is nuts. At that moment, on an island in the balmy, sun-drenched Caribbean, a man who was once called part of the heart and soul of the X-Men. This is where Claremont is a bonkers writer.
Yeah, you'd also just say you'd say the man who
was once the heart and soul of the X-Men.
Thank you. You wouldn't say color part of the exactly.
Was once called part of the heart. Okay. Is washed ashore and stranded by the falling tide. His name is Scoot Summers. As Cyclops, he led the X-Men until Jean Grey's death. After that, he took a leave of absence from the team. Lately, he's been a crewman aboard the trawler Arcadia. He lies still on the beach. Okay, if you're just reading this, he lies still on the beach. That means he's sunbathing.
Right.
Tell us that was in a boat and I don't know, until the morning sun warms him, wakes him. Without thinking, he opens his eyes. Why is that an issue? This is someone's first comic. None of it doesn't make any sense. No. Ruby beams of force, Cyclops uncontrollable, nigh irresistible optic blasts explode from his eyes, gouging a deep hole in the sand. Aye! And simultaneously hurl Scott into the air. My glasses. I've lost my ruby quartz glasses. The only artificial shield capable of holding my optic blasts in check. It must have happened during the night after Al and I were knocked overboard. What are we talking about?
Exactly. we know the character who he's referring to. If we're reading chronologically, we have no idea why their boat was suddenly knocked overboard.
Why are they even in a boat?
Why are they in a boat?
Maybe they just fell off. They could be somewhere nearby on this beach. Fat chance. I'm grasping at straws. I can't keep my eyes tightly closed every waking second, and whenever they open, no matter how slightly, my optic blast will fire. I have to find a way to keep them closed. There, this blindfold I improvised out of my shirt should do the trick. The only problem is, now I can't see.
Scott! Oh, Scott, thank heaven you're all right. When the storm separated us, so there's a storm, I thought you drowned for sure.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
This new voice belongs to, we don't know how to say her name, Lapidus?
This new voice belongs to this person.
And they spell her name wrong. Her name is T-Y-S, not T-I-S, Elitis. But again, this is just weird. Elitis Forrester, owner and captain of the Arcadia. She and Scott have known each other for only a short time, but even so, they have become friends. Last night, when a freak storm erupted out of nowhere to nearly capsize the Arcadia and toss Al overboard, Scott immediately dove in after her. Such a weird coincidence, David says. Arcade and Arcadia. First time reading, I was like, oh, Arcade's been playing him? Nope. Just weird.
Yeah.
Crewman of the SS Jordache, apparently. Jordache jeans. How about this? They get tossed over because of Storm's storm.
See, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Like, it's not... Anyway. Since then, she's tried hard not to think about what happened to her boat. Well, yeah, we don't know that she's...
No, I know.
We don't know anything about this.
That bandage, have you hurt your eyes?
Yeah, kind of.
I've had paramedic training. Let me take a look.
No, please. Believe me, Al, there's nothing you can do.
By the way that just that panel is drawn, it looks like he's reaching out to... I can't feel anything. Come closer. So let me know where you are, Al.
Another note. Her name is not Al, it's Lee.
It's Lee.
So maybe he does have a new pet name for her. Cockrum talks about this in the book.
Oh.
He talks about how for the first 2 issues that he's on the series, they keep changing her name to different man names. And eventually he just starts calling her his own thing because he's busting Chris Claremont's balls over it. Like he's teasing him. So he decides to just give her his own nickname for her. Because he thinks the whole thing is ridiculous that this character just gets this silly nickname that just keeps changing. I'm trying to think, what did he actually call her? If I don't find it in the next few seconds, I won't bother looking now. Personal grievances. What? No, okay. It's okay. I'm not going to find it just yet. But I just thought it was really funny that he just... just makes up a name for this character because he's just so bored of like there being like this error every time. So anyway, weird. Dave Cockrum.
So then he says, "Where are we?"
And what does she say?
Somewhere in the Bahamas, which means civilization could literally be right around the corner. And he says,
"Okay,
it isn't." Oh, and she goes, "Well, she says, we survive. We wait for someone to find us. If the Coast Guard is on its toes, real lucky we could be picked up tomorrow anytime. Or we could be here the rest of our lives." And then she says, "But since we have all the time in the world, ... Because apparently that's all this comic is about.
Okay, so he says here, I'm just going to go back to this. When he decided to name her Elides, he couldn't decide whether she was Al or Lee. So I got to refer to her by different man's names each panel. He would write in the liner notes like jokes, with suggestions like Bill, Pete, Charlie Morton, Adolf. Cancel Dave Cockrum. And I finally settled on Fogarty. And that was the name I used for the rest of my run on the book.
Oh my goodness. Scott's gal pal Fogarty.
Yeah, very weird. So this panel of the X-Men here is very reminiscent of the first time they gather, like in the X-Mansion when the new team joined. They're kind of standing there getting ready.
Yep.
And then look what Bobby's wearing.
I was going to mention this. This is the first time I've seen this. So have you seen this before?
I've never seen, but also we have not seen him in the X-Men series yet.
Right.
This is our first time with him, other than his brief appearance in Giant Size #1.
Yeah.
So this is cool. I've known that he's had this kind of undersuit,
and
it makes total sense to me that he would have it, and the color scheme makes sense to me too. I've just never seen it in an X-Men comic yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
I saw it in black and white when I was reading it last week in the Essentials, and I wasn't sure what was going to appear in color. I was really excited to crack out the original issue today to see how it actually plays. It's cool.
Yeah.
I really hate Polaris's costume. This is like the worst one.
Yeah, it really does nothing.
But I do love the Wolverine body language, like the leaning against the desk, arms folded, you know. Meanwhile, in the X-Mansion, I will take Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Angel and confront Dr. Doom if possible. Confront Dr. Doom. If possible, we'll try to secure Arcade's release without a fight.
I wouldn't count on that, Aurora.
Simultaneously, Havoc, you, accompanied by Polaris, Iceman, and Banshee, will locate Murder World. Miss Locke's hostages.
We four have never operated as a team. I suggest a combat workout in the danger room to loosen up. Why is everyone smiling? Did I say something funny?
Not quite, Havoc. But as you can see, the danger room is temporarily out of commission.
What hit this place?
Sprite! She single-handedly fought and defeated some sort of superhuman monster last Christmas Eve. We're still picking up the pieces.
And look how young Kitty is in this panel.
Yeah, she's
gone from 13 to 7.
Yeah.
or 8.
But, you know, they just write her out of the issue, right?
Like they just totally write her. Yeah, she has the flu.
Sure.
She's got the cholera. She's in bed. And so let's hope she gets better.
And then off they go.
Off they go. I do like how they mentioned the Blackbird, though actually has been damaged, it still flies.
Right. I also like the idea that there's like 2 units.
Yeah.
Like the operation. Oh, hold on. Oh, Davis is cancel Colossus.
Wow. Here we go.
Yeah, that's I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. So off they go. Now this is really weird. And obviously we didn't read the issue in Marvel 2 and 168, but this castle that was built is a medieval theme park 200 miles up from New York City.
Yep.
And it's now been abandoned.
Always.
Because it's been taken over, as we can see, by Dr. Doom and his henchmen.
But first by Toad.
Right. But Toad was running the theme park, was he not?
Yes. Now reformed. Yes, you're right.
So Toad is running a castle theme park. What I love about it
called Toad World.
Right, called Toad World. So I love, because I've been to some theme parks and been to tourist attractions. Their authenticity is usually only drywall deep.
Right.
Like it won't really be made of, like, you and I have both spent enough hours at Wonderland And there is a medieval section to Wonderland. And
There
it's
is.
essentially paper mache.
That's where the Dragonfire roller coaster is.
Yes, among many other things.
Yes.
But I mean, really, what it would be is like a fiberglass shell
Yeah.
in faux rock.
No, Toad World's authentic, man. It's stone.
Toad World. So, of all the things, like Doctor Doom is, lives in a medieval castle, but for him to like go live at Wonderland, you know what I mean? It seems really silly that he's picking a fake castle to go live in, like some theme park. Anyway, I just find that really...
and in America, like
yes,
200 miles north of where they are. I know. I mean, I thought originally when it's like Arcade's been captured, he's in Latveria.
Sure, but Doctor Doom is deposed.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Trevor is making a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride joke, I believe. So, Storm does a really awesome. I love this kind of entrance. Like, it's very Thor-ish. Like,
yes,
smack down some lightning, and then like you're standing in the middle of it. Like that's how you arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am Storm. Although I struck you with lightning.
Although I killed 5 of your colleagues just now. Look at them. I burned them to a crisp.
Oh, where's the sound effect for this? Like, where's the thunder?
Zap.
Awesome. It's. I think it's a really cool way to like introduce her. Again, she's like the most formidable character so far in this book. Mm-hmm. And I love that she's at the forefront of it. I like that drawing of her a lot.
It is. It's
such a goofy change from where the book has been. I have to wonder how much of this is Cockrum's plotting. That's I think part of the thesis here for this episode is that, because these guys do share some kind of creative direction, and he does control the pacing somewhat by the way what he emphasizes, and he emphasizes like old-fashioned silly things. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I hear you, David. It's weird. It's weird. Storm comes in peace. She wants to speak to the master immediately. This is private property, babe.
And the boss don't take kindly to trespassers. Get out or be thrown out.
I just shot 5 of your guys with a lightning bolt. Like, honestly, in the last panel, I look like I'm on fire.
And in true Claremont fashion, the goon has a name. Vincenzo.
Okay, go ahead. You be Doom.
Vincenzo. I decide who shall or shall not be removed from my residence. Vincenzo. I am Doom. I rule here. I understand you have some business with me, young woman.
I just want to talk about your performance.
Oh, sure.
Maybe you put a hand over your thing and do a bane.
I rule here.
There's such an opportunity to do like the most
I know
ridiculous voice.
Cartoony.
Yeah. Anyway, you do you. I'm just teasing you. You have Arcade. I want him alive and unhurt.
Just like that? Okay. Just like that, you demand and Doom obeys. And suppose Doom, who speaks to himself in the third person, refuses.
Then one of us may well live to regret it.
Indeed. I am not given to impulsive decision. Okay, try now. Hold on. You do the Bane voice. That's a good one. You go.
No. Come on.
No. It was good. Go for it.
It's ridiculous, and I can't do it. I was only teasing you. Just do
you be impulsive decisions.
You have to put a hand over your mouth.
Further over dinner. My chef sets a superb table. He dares not do otherwise. Vincenzo can tell you.
A gracious invitation, Lord Doom. Graciously accepted. Like, you can do Vader. You can do so many fun things with him. But look at that, like, person in the background in the cloak.
Yeah.
It's death. It's death.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I'm just saying it's death. Let's also not forget, the last time Dave Cockrum had us in a castle, there were leprechauns.
Let's not forget, it was a story of Black
Lilliputians.
Juggernaut.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that was Dave Cockrum. You got to believe that. He likes that kind of stuff.
Do you want to do Angel?
Sure. Storms inside the castle. Man, that lady has
Man.
guts. Man, that lady has guts.
And you have good eyes, Angel, to see so clearly from such a great distance.
The best, pal. Am I close enough?
Ja, see you soon, mein Frau.
Oof. What a stink.
So, a question here is the suggestion that Angel has vision akin to a bird?
Yes.
Okay.
Angel has like eagle eye sight.
That's part of his power set?
It's part of his mutation, yes, that he has.
He has. Okay. All right.
He should be called Eagle.
Eagle.
Instead of Angel. Like, I get that he's a guardian angel. That's fine, but you know, he the eyesight thing. He also, I don't know if you know this. He
Lays eggs.
True. And with that distinctive brimstone stench, also known as a fart, a crack of flame, and the bamf of imploding air, Nightcrawler teleports from Angel's arms to a point slightly above the parapet of Doom's castle.
Surrender, mein Herren.
Actually, it says surprise.
Oh, surprise!
The ink is
but he thinks it in his
smudged.
head. Yeah.
It's completely smudged on the scan that you've got there and in the page in front of me. It's maybe the scan is from my copy. The guards never knew what hit them. Look at that handsome dude.
I know.
What a deal. Once Nightcrawler has established this beachhead, Angel quickly ferries Wolverine and Colossus up to him.
So far, so good. I expected more guards.
According to the data Beast sent us, Doom has been keeping a low profile since he was deposed as ruler of Latveria. A private army would draw too much attention from the feds. So that occurred when Doom was driven mad in FF200. He regained his sanity and began plotting his return to power in FF Annual 15. Librarian Louise.
Librarian Louise.
Yeah. He went insane. Anyway. When Doom lost his throne, he also lost his diplomatic immunity. He can't afford to be caught breaking any laws, so that's why he's in this amusement park papier-mâché castle. It's not even real.
Then why abduct our kid?
As the quartet sneaks deep into the castle that's not real, Colossus automatically transforms himself from flesh and blood to organic steel. In this armored form, he possesses awesome power and near total invulnerability. For all that, he moves as quickly, as quietly as Wolverine. I don't believe that for a second.
He moves like this. Clang, 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 clang.
I didn't say he couldn't break the law, Colossus.
Idiot.
Just that he couldn't afford to get caught. According to Locke's note, this is Arcade's cell. If Storm were here, she could pick the lock.
But since she is not, Torash, allow me to try a more direct method.
Dude, Wolverine could have cut the lock mechanism. Like, Wolverine can pick a lock. Come on. Anyway.
Of course.
Boom.
Boom.
So you already said...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I just did empty.
I had a feeling this caper was going down too easy. I think we've been suckered.
I think you're right, Shorty. Uh-oh. Here we go. Okay, so see, this is robot voices now. I suggest you give up. These battle suits were designed to trash the Fantastic Four. Trashing you, is it fellas?
Freaks.
Freaks should be child's play.
Okay, I gotta correct you, though.
Right. They're people
Battle
inside.
suits, not robots.
They're what?
They're battle suits, not robots.
Oh, fine.
You were right the first time. Just as Beer Builds was giving you credit for your accents, man, you go and do a robot voice for a dude. Then again, he could have a voice modulator that does that, right?
Well, you see, the way I say that is because it's got you see the way the bubble has like a little lightning when he talks, like a metallic.
Yeah, that means it's electronic for sure.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
So it's going through, like if you're doing Vader's is electronic too.
Right.
But he doesn't speak monotone.
Unfortunately.
Can you? Now I want to see a scene recut of Star Wars with a different voice performance where it is done as a 1950s sci-fi robot.
Of course.
Yeah. Have you ever? I know you've watched them. The bad lip reading version, where it's like Jack Black playing Vader, and it's it's great.
So much fun.
We ain't the FF bub. We're the X-Men, and we don't trash easy.
Snicked.
Bad drawing of Wolverine, I think.
Yeah.
That pose is so awkward. As Wolverine charges, he extends his retractable adamantium claws from the backs of his hands. They're razor sharp and capable of cutting virtually anything. All he has to do is get close enough to use them.
If you say so, shrimp.
So, again, Cockrum does not like Wolverine. So, the first chance he gets, just smoke him.
Out of it.
Reacting with a blinding speed that belies his massive form, Colossus lets fly with his improvised mace. He hits hard.
Look at naked Wolverine on the floor.
And does absolutely no damage.
By the white wolf. Perhaps we should have surrendered when we had the chance.
But since we didn't, Nightcrawler, let's take him. In the dungeon, the battle is joined in earnest.
But by the way, that panel is it? Let's take him. Looks like Nightcrawler is taking a full blast, double blast to the chest.
Yeah, like
he's out.
Like a defenseman who jumps out of the way of the puck when it was a slap shot and just hits the goalie right in the head.
Oh god,
like, poor guy. Nightcrawler, he was like blocking, but Wolverine is in the fight naked.
Naked. That's always Berserker naked Wolverine is always the best one.
I think 100%. Mm-hmm. And the last time Cockrum was drawing Wolverine, his costume got destroyed too, and he took over that other guy's costume.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Against the Imperial Guard.
That's right.
Cockrum wants Wolverine to be naked.
Hates Wolverine, but loves Wolverine.
Yes. While far above in the castle's dining room, Doom's chef more than lives up to his reputation.
The hooded guys. The hooded guys are his. The servers.
They are. They're Darkseid's.
Desaad.
Yeah, his sadist torture, Desaad.
Yeah.
No, I am your father. Says Trevor.
Mine is a solitary existence. I entertain rarely. And when I do, it's usually with Vincenzo. I rarely have a guest as charming and beautiful as you.
I want to see Doom eat that turkey.
Right?
I want to see Doom eat.
Would you like to see me insert this turkey in my metal mouth? I guarantee it's quite alluring.
I want to see Doom insert the turkey anywhere. Thank you, Lord Doom. I'm actually enjoying this and regretting that my sole purpose here is to keep Doom occupied while my fellow X-Men find and free Arcade. They should have reached his cell by now. Doom is a fascinating man.
It's a very attractive Storm face there, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, but not. If you take the color out, her features are very white.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah.
As they often are.
Mm-hmm. Extraordinary. Storm seems drawn to me as I am to her. Lioness to lion. Queen to king. She does not fear me. She should. She will. I've been monitoring her companions on my televisions on the table, which she does not notice. Since they entered the castle, I'll deal with them at the proper time. After I've dealt with their lovely leader.
Okay, I want to point something out here.
Yes.
So panel 3, we see the 2 weird hooded servers.
Yeah.
We see the turkey on the table.
Yeah.
And the pig.
Yeah.
Then in panel 4 and 5, a lot of time passes because in panel 6, that turkey is finished. Oh, there, Trevor sees the same thing. Hey, wait, what happened to the turkey in panel 6? It got eaten, dude. It got inserted somehow.
It got inserted and spat out.
Storm, forgive me, guys. I have never cooked a turkey. My family doesn't usually do turkey-based holidays. So how much does a big turkey weigh? Like, what's the poundage on that kind of thing?
Okay, I'll give you some context. When we eat with our family of let's say 12 to 15 people, we usually have like a maybe 16 to 18 pound bird.
Okay.
So it's usually one and a bit per person, usually. And it can take anywhere, depending on how hot your oven can get. It can take 4 hours, but it can take 2.
So I'm gonna throw an alternative narrative here. I think Storm just ate a 20-pound turkey. And so
he's so really. Are you saying the dialogue in that second last panel should be him being like, amazing watching that woman eat a turkey? And then he's like, but where does it all go?
Right. That's she's drawn to me as I am to her, and she eats like a lioness.
Right. Lioness to lion. Lioness with a taste for turkey, it appears.
Yeah, she does not fear me, but I fear her digestive tract.
That's what I mean. But we're in a closed-off room with no windows.
Yeah.
What will happen to Doom?
These faux stone floor and walls reflect sound really well. Like, it doesn't absorb any sound at all. So it's just going to be a fest. Just awful. Okay, anyway, so that's a fun consistency error.
I love that. That's good. Yeah. Good.
Now, there's a great ad coming up here.
The Mighty Marvel Win Yourself Some Big Bucks contest.
Not that one.
Stick them up and help your parents quit smoking. Hey, dummy, quit smoking or I'll shoot you.
So there's 20 clever stickers for every part of the house.
Wow.
They'll make your parents laugh and help them kick the habit.
I bet you those are really appreciated by the parents.
Oh my God. Oh, just fun insults to your parents to stop smoking. Oh my God. So funny. Oh, this is such a strange issue.
It just keeps going.
Teamwork, X-Men. Don't fight them one-on-one. Confuse them. Turn their weapons against them while I fly overhead and don't get involved. It's funny how he's kind of in charge. He is the eldest, right? He's
taking over.
No. Pardon me. He's not the eldest. Wolverine would be, but we don't know that at the time.
But he's the longest serving X-Men.
Right. I'm snagged. While this goon has me, I've also got him. We're both immobilized. He's yours, Wolverine. Wolverine, he's yours. Way ahead of your wings. First, I'll cut you loose. Then I'll cut open this tin suit and punch the lights out of whoever's inside.
And gut the man inside.
Yep, punch the lights out, he says. But he'll carve out the eyeballs.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah. Our asbestos nets have snared the demon.
Asbestos nets.
He'll never untangle himself in time. Blast him!
The battle suits fire as one. And the instant they do, Nightcrawler, with a jaunty grin and a wave, teleports. The suits are ruined, the men inside them stunned, unconscious. 3 down. 1 to go.
It's impossible. These suits were supposed to make us invincible.
Oh, Vincenzo. Back to the drawing board, eh, bub? Wolverine lunges, and the goon decides that discretion is indeed the better part of valor. He prays his master will understand the necessity for his strategic withdrawal.
This is a really funny panel.
Uh-oh.
What?
Uh-oh. Where? Who's Trump?
In the background. The coward evidently feared the X-Men more than me. I must teach him the error of his ways. His punishment should prove a sufficient object lesson for his comrades. In Doom's service, there's only victory or death, never defeat. Vincenzo. Oh, and you're not my only guest, Storm. Allow me to present Arcade. I believe you know each other.
I believe you do, Arcade.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fact, Vic. Though we've never been formally introduced. How do, sweet thing?
You? A guest? Not a prisoner? No. It was a trap from the very beginning, and I led the X-Men into it. How could I have been so blind? Raw lightning explodes from Storm's outstretched hand. Doom is staggered by the ferocity of her attack. But that is all.
An admirable try, Storm. An admirable plan as well. Against a lesser foe, both might have succeeded, but I am Doom. I have forgotten more about strategy and combat than you are ever likely to learn. You are an enchanting child, my dear. That is all you and your fellow X-Men are, children.
That globe, it's tracking me. I can't evade it. And the winds I'm generating around me can't blow it away. My arm's gone numb. Sensations, fire, and ice so intense. Absolute agony and ecstasy shooting through my entire body. Goddess, my hand, my forearm, it's turned into chrome. What has Doom done to me? Her concentration shattered. Storm loses control of the winds that held her aloft and drops to the floor. As she lands, the terrifying transformation sweeps up her arm, across her shoulders, down her side. In the literal blink of an eye, it's over. A moment later, a minute too late, Storm's fellow X-Men arrive, each of them in a very weak pose except for Colossus.
Super weak.
Wolverine hiding his furry midsection. Just so much fur. But the Angel and Nightcrawler drawings look like they were traced from like 3 generations of drawings.
Yeah.
They look like they've lost their anatomic and action integrity.
Yep.
I will go back to the end in a minute, Trevor. Hold on. Don't worry. Let's just finish this and we'll go back. To be just as quickly, as easily defeated.
They are very brave, Arcade, but very foolish. I almost feel sorry for them. I did not think anyone in the world would underestimate me, yet they did. Feel sorry for yourself, Butcher. Your energy weapons had no effect on me. I'm going to rip your armor from you piece by piece, Doom. And when I am finished with you, it will be Arcade turn. Wow, class, it's getting dark.
Yeah, man, go. Do it.
Doom does not engage in fisticuffs, youth. Yeah! All I need do is use a neural disruptor to scramble the motor neurons of your armored body. The effect is temporary until it wears off. You will be completely paralyzed. As much a living statue as Storm. You have entered the lion's den, X-Men. You will not leave it alive.
Cool.
Next
I
issue,
do like all
Mighty
the stuff.
World.
I do like the stuff with Doom. Like, I'm into him being better than all of them. And by the way, that middle drawing of Colossus in panel 3, I like it.
Dope.
I think it's dope. So go back to
Did
that
Trevor
ad.
want to see this ad here?
No. Go back to the one with the kid who was trying to get his parents to stop smoking.
Who was going to kill his parents if they didn't quit smoking?
This kid, he's saying that's Trump.
Either you quit smoking or I kill you.
Yeah, it's Trump brand nicotine patches is what he's saying.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, he does like the thumbs up, and he, I mean that and that hairdo. I hear you.
Oh, yeah.
I like the idea of, like, again, of Doom just of playing them, like outsmarting all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm into that. This issue has some charm. It feels a little old fashioned, for 1981. It feels dated.
Yep.
Just very, very weird.
It's also kind of so we're now 2 issues into the post Claremont burn run, and both issues are let's bring in some non-traditional X-Men characters from the Marvel universe and have a bit of an adventure with villains. So last issue we saw Despair, and then also Man-Thing with Cyclops. This issue we're seeing Dr. Doom. It really is like, who else can they fight right now? It doesn't appear to be much cohesion, which we came to expect from that other run. But that doesn't mean that Claremont's not plotting seeds.
Right. I hear you. I'm looking at these the checklist.
Okay.
And it's neat. The Spider-Woman issue 38 has guest starring the X-Men.
Okay.
Dazzler number 3, she's fighting Dr. Doom.
Wow. That appears to be a severe mismatch.
Rom number 18, Rom Space Knight. It's Rom versus the X-Men. So they're in at least 3 comics this month.
What checklist are you looking at?
It's right there on the screen.
At the bottom is Mighty Marvel checklist. Oh, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. Let's see what else is there. Iron Man against.
DD 170, Bullseye versus the Kingpin with DD.
Yeah, of course, X-Men 145, which we've got. Doctor Doom. It says the riotous return of the new X-Men's original artist, Dave Cockrum. I'm just looking to see if there are any other references to them. Kung Fu 100. Yeah, it looks like that's it. Fun.
Yeah, man.
And they have 4 magazines. Crazy. The Hulk has a magazine. Epic has a magazine, which is like one of their imprints for like more adult and fantasy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then Savage Sword of Conan. Cool. Yeah, wild. A wild issue. Interesting experience. Not at all what I expected.
Nope. We'll see how it plots out, how things happen.
I like it. I like that we are, I know how many issues are in this arc, so it's a little bit spoiled for me in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like that the first act ended fast. Like, we got a little bit of, here's our daily life. Here's the problem. We're all going to get involved. And then this isn't what we think it is. Like, now we see that Arcade is involved. He's not the prisoner. So which is like the midpoint turn, So we've gotten deep into the second act. And so we're going to get, at least in the next issue, lots more action. Like, it's, it's in the heat of it. Plus, we have that whole other team kind of waiting in the wings to go do something.
Right.
They're going on the rescue mission to get all the hostages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So David has to say, let's see. I think this was supposed to feel like a big event. X-Men versus Doom. Every living X-Men minus Cyclops united. Arcade and the Sleeping Beauty castle kind of detract, though. The castle is, I couldn't get over that. I thought that was really a weird idea that there was just this amusement park, real castle, full of Doctor Doom and a bunch of henchmen, and no one even knows that they're there. That's a strange setting for it, but I do like the idea of it, like a two-pronged attack, like a rescue mission. Yeah, X-Men versus Doom is a big deal for sure. But there you go.
Here you go.
Yeah, I wonder how long Cockrum is going to stay on the series, and I wonder when it's done how we're going to feel. If the next change will be a good one, you know. I know what artists are coming down the road, but I don't know how many issues it's going to be.
Right.
But have you seen Paul? You have seen Paul Smith stuff before. You've
I've
read
read
the X-Men Alpha Flight crossover.
Yeah.
So he draws that, and I find that his stuff is a little more in line in terms of the tone. But we'll see how that pans out.
Okay.
Yeah, man, crazy.
Overall,
I'm really glad I read this issue. Wasn't really exactly what I expected, but it's historically interesting. Look what I have.
Show me. Ooh, that's a good Doom.
This is a great Doom.
Is that a legend Doom?
Yeah, it is. And there are a couple upgrades I could do. Like you can get a fabric cape if you pay for one.
Oh, that's really good, man.
It is. It's like the detail in his armor is awesome.
I've got one I can show you here. Hold on.
You have a Doom. I am Doom. I like that his eyes are in that helmet.
Yeah. That's pretty darn cool.
I have another one, the previous version of this, where his mask comes off.
And what's underneath?
A face.
So is he like a scarred or something? Or
yeah,
oh.
It's like a Deadpool kind of face, like.
Oh, is that what he has underneath there?
Well, there's a few different versions of it. One is like one of the interesting versions is that I think the Kirby Lee or the Lee Kirby version is that he thinks he's disfigured and he has like this armor and he's
here's the Dr. Doom I have.
Right, I remember that guy in Montreal. We met the real Dr. Doom.
My real Dr. Doom peeps. Look at that guy right there at the Montreal Comic Arts Festival. It was awesome too. He kept going on the street. And this is like it was May. It was a hot day. And he's in full armor. Just like he was like, I'm trying to think of the word. Not strolling, not pacing, but he was not strutting, but he was with purpose walking slowly, like regally down the street. And kids would come up to him, and all he'd do is he'd stop in front of them. They just look up at this guy, and suddenly he put out his fist, and they'd like bump it. He's like, it was so good. And that was first thing in the morning. That guy came out. We were there. Friday. We were there, set up early, set up to start the show, and nothing had really happened. And this guy, we're like, oh shit, Dr. Doom just walked by.
Yeah, we got some time with him because there was no one else there.
Really nice guy. Anyway,
yeah, it was very cool.
Very cool.
So the idea that I think Lee and Kirby, like the story that they kind of had, was that this guy is covered up, protecting himself from the world, and that he's brutally scarred, right. He's disfigured. And then when he finally is unmasked, it's like the tiniest scar. The damage to him is in his mind, how he perceives himself. And it's like it adds this pathos to him. When Byrne kind of retcons him, like he does the scarring, and then there's reconstructive surgery. Like he had a huge, like his mask is fused to his skin with because it was right out of the welding,
the pit,
furnace, Yeah. So he makes him disfigured. But I loved the idea that it's in his mind that he's ugly. He's actually very striking, and it's just that he has this inferiority thing with Richards, and and he blames him for so many things, but it's like it's nothing.
I've seen the movies, and I know.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. When they do get him into the MCU, it's gonna be great. And I love the fact that he's Thanos level in terms of like how he carries himself, and he thinks of himself as this massive being, and then everyone's like, okay, you're not Thanos, but then they deal with him and he actually can surprise everyone because he mixes technology and magic.
Right, that's his thing, right?
He's a master of both. He can go toe to toe with Doctor Strange and Iron Man
Right,
at the same time,
right.
which is great.
Super cool.
Yeah. Like master strategist.
I
Everything.
do. It is going to be fun to as we go down these with the MCU in the next few years and the next phases, and we don't know much about them, but that they're just going to pull out a character like that, and we're all going to be like, "Whoa,"
Yeah, and whatever actor they get to play him, there are so many great actors that would love to ham it up as the next big bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone complains about Josh Brolin as Thanos, but you just think about how many 50-year-old. Let's just pretend he's gonna be British, but like 50-year-old British actors can just that have gravitas. It's
going to be Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Well, okay. Aside from the fact that he played Odin, yeah,
Give me real old man. Sir Ian McKellen. Just like guys who played other guys are coming back.
I would be cool with obviously anyone
Right.
fun. We're just gonna have a good time with it, right? Don't go with a 70-year-old man. Let's have him around for a few years. But there's so many people who, like the same way that Cate Blanchett wasn't known for playing over-the-top villainesses, but when she gets the role, she just has a great time.
She eats it up. Hella.
Right? She chews the scenery.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see someone do that too, because Doom is so evil, and he's right a lot of the time too. Like he's an autocrat, and he's a freaking genius. He's just egotistical as well. So, but he's not as delusional as one would think from when you see a guy wearing a ginormous suit. He's tons of fun. Did you ever see the episodes when he's on? Have you watched Earth's Mightiest Heroes?
Bits and pieces.
Man, so there's a crossover with the Fantastic Four and a bunch of other Marvel superheroes. He's on to, I'm going to spoil because it's just a cartoon and all the plots, they win. Okay, they win. But I think it's the start of season 2, perhaps. He is on to the fact that there is a Skrull invasion before everybody else. And he is like capturing individuals and testing them to see if they're human or Skrull, like way before Tony Stark knows anything's even wrong. Yeah. And he tries to basically feed them the answer. Like, how come you guys aren't asking these questions? How can you just assume that everything is fine when there's all this information right in front of you that it's not okay? So he is this almost anti-hero kind of in some of those episodes, but he's neat. He's really neat. Oh, another cool Dr. Doom I got to show.
Sure.
This is
a
mint condition.
Is that a Doom bot?
This is Dr. Doom. In the Secret Wars limited series.
Yeah.
This is one of the action figures from that run of figures from Mattel back in the day. With he's got a gun on a holster here I can take out. He has a huge rifle on his back I can take out. Pardon me. And his lenticular shield that has different images. Yeah.
Maybe he shows up in Secret Wars. There you go.
I got this one pretty recently in the package still.
That's cool.
And I was like, nah, come on. I know it's been in the package since like 1984, but we're taking it out now. I have one from my childhood, and all the details worn, like painted right off, or it's all worn off.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this one, and I have the Wolverine there too. But he's so beautiful. And Mattel, when they were working on the license with Marvel, they did not want to put Doom in his
No.
this. They said that it looks too medieval, and kids won't want it. They want science fiction. They don't want an ancient looking
Interesting.
armor suit. So in the series, they get him out of his traditional suit pretty quick, and he wears something like this in the series. And I desperately want a Marvel Legends of this. And I know what parts they need to like. I know the Ultron body will be the arms and legs, and then I should just do a kit bash, but I want that from Marvel Legends. And David says he likes his sexy thigh garter.
That's right.
It's a holster. Come on, man. Not a sexy thigh garter. Boo. Cancel David Cutler.
Cancel David Cutler.
All right, Chris. We've gone on way too long for this issue. You are exhausted. You're ready to fall
talk
asleep.
some things.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
So Saturday.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna be, Ben?
Whitby, Ontario.
Call you buddy, but it came out bad.
Whitby, Ontario for WhitCap, Whitby Comic Arts Festival, Whitby Public Library, the main downtown branch. We will be there 10 to 4 with our comics and our good times and conversation.
True. I'll be doing sketches if anyone wants one. That should be fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get to see our buddy Jerome and Dan Collins, who's going to be in the fancy section.
Yeah.
The front of the library. We're in our artist alley.
Our buddy Jay Torres.
Oh yeah, we'll see Jay. That's cool.
A couple other folks. That'll be good times. If you're in the Whitby area, come check us out.
It's our last public event for the year. It's been a crazy year, man. So that's Saturday. You can find us on all our socials at Group of 7 Comics, with the number 7 being a number, not the word. And our website, www.group7comics.ca. Again, the number 7, not the word. And we make comics. Should be fun to read some comics too. Next week.
I'll say this: we're working on a comic right now, and as I was doing some proposed introductory language, all I could think of was Claremont, and his very verbose introductions. I was trying to think. I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted.
It makes translating into French that much.
Oh, harder. I know. I just there's a way. I know. It's just really funny because I'm like, how would we describe this? It's like, describe it in the most hyperbolic way possible. Yeah. No,
go for it. It's all have
fun.
No,
I restrained myself. Don't worry,
It'll be fun. We can't wait to announce that shortly. So it should be good. Other than that, next week we'll come back for episode 55.
Woo!
Our never-ending series with issue 146.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it's called For the Love of Vincenzo.
It definitely is. It's this one. Wait a world. Your boy's on the cover.
Oh, doing some moitas. Look at that white havoc.
This boy.
Oh, there he is. Using his old Interpol skills.
Yeah, and the white havoc is kind of interesting. It's Arctic Havoc.
Arctic Suit Havoc.
Yeah. And look at this really convincing face on Iceman. Oh. It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got to see how this ends, man.
Yeah. Or if it ends. Moving on to this day. All right, that'll be next week. Come back, hang out with us then too. Chris, it's been good seeing you. I'm going to end this right now. All right?
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers. Everyone take care of yourselves. Be well.
Have a good night.
Goodbye.